I want you to love me and just touch me. Put your hands on me. Hey nerds, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by today's title, we're going to be doing something very fun today. I'm going to be ranking all of the movies in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. It's about to get real interesting up in here. But before we do that, please leave a like. It really helps me and I appreciate it. Thank you. Now let's get into this. I got me some ice cream for today's activities because it is hot as hell outside, I fear. So I'm gonna do this video like I do all my ranking videos. I'm gonna go from lowest to highest. So there are 8 spots in this, ranking video. I will not be ranking the remake. Because no. I listen, that is just disrespectful. I feel like I can make an entire video on the remake alone, and I don't know if y'all want me to do that because I'm gonna be a little irate if I do that. So rolling in at last place, we have Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. This one ranks low. I don't know how it ranks on y'all's, but there's so much going on in this movie and not in a good way. A lot of things don't make sense in this movie. It's like you trying to tell me that all the kids in Springwood are extinct. They just gone. Is that what you telling me right now? Like, you mean to tell me Freddy got all of them? He got all of them. Like, he literally killed every single child and or teen in Springwood to where there's no more teens in the population. And then on top of that, due to all the kids, like, becoming extinct, this is when the parents start noticing. This is when the parents start noticing. So when all the kids just magically, DIE one day, they're like, oh, like something's wrong here. You think it messed them up so bad to where all the adults in the town went insane. There was one teenager left. One. But then on top of that, him being the only one left, he don't know who he is. He cannot seem to recall his identity. And then the whole twist about Freddy having a kid just never sat right with me because he was a child. And so it was like, did he do these same heinous things to his child? It never sat right with me that they gave him a child. I mean, it could have worked if this movie wasn't like so piss poor, but still I was like, oh, I don't know. So you remember that part where Maggie was like trying to figure out, how did Freddy come back and how did all the kids die? So apparently when Freddy killed these kids, like all the kids in Springwood that were left, that like erased them from history. Like it erased them from the existence of the world completely. Since when was he able to do that? Since when did he have that much power that he could rewrite history? Since when was he able to do that? That don't make no damn sense to me. I'm sorry. Because he never had that power before to like change time and history and stuff. But I digress. The writing wasn't too great. And Freddy's makeup. Oh my god. Look at him. What happened in the makeup chair? What happened? He looked toe up. I mean, I know he's a burnt up dream demon, but like, damn. I will credit the movie on this though. I thought the concept of Freddy's like origin story of his powers, I thought that was pretty interesting. Or his general origin story, seeing him as a child and then as a teenager and then as a grown man. We finally, realized what made him so messed up in the first place. Now while I say that, the animation of the dream demons could have been better. Like, I know it was the early 90s and we weren't, there in the vein of like technological advances yet, but look at this. This looks ridiculous. What are these? Those look like demon spaghetti. I don't know. Demon tadpoles. I don't know. It just don't look right. And for this to be the final nightmare, they blew it. If I were to rate this one, I would rate it like a 2 out of 10. Like, I can watch it as many times as I want, but it won't do it. It just don't do it for me. And then on top of that, the kills, they was all right. Like, there have been better kills, and this one, it didn't do it for me. That's partially the reason why this is my favorite franchise, is because, you know, the kills in it are amazing. Not in this one. They fall short here, but yeah, 2 out of 10 for Final Nightmare. Okay, rolling in at number 7, we have Nightmare on Elm Street 5, Dream Child. Don't come for me. Do not come for me in the comments. If there are any comments, I don't know how well this is gonna do. I think what I dislike about this movie the most is the characters, excluding Alice and Dan. Maybe Yvonne, I don't know. Like, the characters are just too predictable. Now, I am gonna say this a lot in this video, but the characters were too archetypal, and that's expected. That's like the ongoing theme in this franchise, in the Nightmare franchise. Like, all the characters have some distinct personality trait about them that makes them fall into a category. But these characters, these 3 right here, like, they were like very one-sided. They were very two-dimensional, you know. Like, you got like the cover girl with the mom who, you know, is adamant about her image and her figure. You got the nerdy guy that likes comics, and then the headstrong best friend that is a swimmer. Like, okay, like, y'all cool or whatever, but y'all not doing it for me. I feel like they tried too hard at the same time with these characters to make them different and distinct. I was just like, yeah. Now, I don't find myself confused often, but the continuity of Freddy's powers in this movie just, like, confused me. And now it's like, you mean to tell me he can conjure up the very place where he was conceived, impregnate the ghost of his mother, who was R-worded by 100 maniacs, and, like, you know, be reborn? What are y'all? The writing room was not locked in. They were not locked in. The kills didn't do it for me in this one either. They were like, they're okay. I think the kill that I liked the most in this one was Greta's death scene, where he was like force feeding her and stuff. And speaking of kills, after they killed off my man Dan over here, Mr. Jock, this is where I started to resent the series a little bit, because we can never keep nobody. Dan didn't deserve that. He was finna be a daddy, and he didn't even know. Alice didn't know until after he died. Ooh, I would have been sick if that was me. Oh my god. Other than my dislikes, I do appreciate the commentary on teen pregnancy in this movie. Especially the fact that Alice was going to be a single mother. She considered getting an abortion, which is still taboo to talk about to this day. And then, you know, just overall bodily autonomy, because then Dan's parents were trying to take the baby. All that stuff. That's where the realism came in, and I appreciated that element. So that was a good thing about this movie. And I'm sure the topic of teen pregnancy was taboo back then, just as it is now. But seeing it as a puzzle piece in a Nightmare movie, you had to admit that there could have been, like, you know, that could have been hitting close to home for some people who watch this. Because I'm pretty sure that the entire fandom at this point in time, like, it had a lot of teens in it, okay? And so this probably hit close to home for some people with that type of realism. So I appreciate that for them including real world problems into the movie. Even though this was not one of the best ones, still appreciate the effort on that. If I had to rate this one, I would say 4.5 out of 10. It's a little better than Final Nightmare. So I'll give it something. Rolling in at number 6, we have Freddy vs. Jason. Don't come for my neck. Now, I know I'm going to be stepping on some toes with this one, because this is a lot of people's favorite in the franchise if they happen to count it. Not mine's. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I have respect for this one. I do. Like, I understand that this was a really huge deal, because you had the 2 biggest, most famous slashers in the genre coming together to go toe to toe. This was a cultural reset. This was like a really big deal back then, and I agree. Now, obviously, I'm a big fan of Freddy, but my question is, you needed Jason to resurrect you? You needed him to resurrect you? I thought you was a big bad slice and dicing machine. People forgot about you, and that hurt your little ego. I will say that I enjoy Lori. You know, she was a good final girl, even though she was a little ditzy at times. She was alright. She was cool. The kills were kind of boring. You know, they were lacking that signature Freddy like pizzazz. And I think that comes from Jason having most of the kills in this movie. I will say the one with Mark was quite interesting, you know, especially with this burned into his back. That was, he always, first of all, what is it with him in the skin? He loves to doodle and draw on the skin. Freddy, we are not etching sketches, okay? And I cannot deny that this was one of the best crossovers ever, okay? Got mad respect, got mad love for it. One thing I do not have respect for is making Jason afraid of water. Like, look at this.
Oh, so you are afraid of something after all.
I'm just mad because why would y'all do that when it's never stopped him before? There's literally a clip of him coming out of the water with somebody's head or something, I don't know, or he was lurking in the water in one of the movies. Water has never stopped him now. Why reverse it, take steps backward, and make him scared of water? The continuity, it's failing, it's not here no more, it's fading out. Like, that was a bad choice on the writer's part, because y'all should have did y'all's research. Y'all should have watched the movies one more time. Also, I've never seen Freddy like this before. He was such a pussy in this movie. Like, I was like, this is not my Freddy. Like, he would never. But yeah, I give this one like a 5 out of 10. I don't know. There's something about this that places it over Dream Child. It's slightly better. Not that much, but it's slightly better. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for Freddy vs. Jason. Okay, coming in at number 5, right? 5, yeah. Coming in at number 5, we have Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Now, upon viewing this for the first time 10 years ago, I know that's crazy. I could even say that. I didn't like this one. I didn't like it. I didn't get it. I'm thinking that's because this one's more of like a slow burn, you know? It takes a while for, you know, stuff to start happening in this one. I think that's why I didn't like it at first, because there was like no immediate action. And after watching the Never Sleep Again documentary, I learned that this movie in particular in the franchise got so much backlash. If you haven't seen the documentary Never Sleep Again, basically it's detailing and profiling the entire Nightmare franchise. Please go watch it. It is such a time. I watch it every so often whenever I get a chance because I love it. Apparently this film in the franchise was deemed the gay one upon its release, and that was due to somewhat homoerotic imagery, lots of male bare bottoms, and like, you know, fetish clubs and stuff. So this one is a little zany, but all of the movies in the franchise are a bit zany. Like, come on. I think most of the heat from the audiences stemmed from the fact that this movie came out during the AIDS epidemic. It came out in 1985, so that was a huge chunk of it. I've grown to appreciate this one more because this was the first time that I ever saw a male scream queen. Okay, like, come on. Wait. I just realized he was the first male scream queen. Those are not my words, those are his, the actor that played, you know, the lead in this one. Male scream queen. Like, scream queen, you know, like final girl type beat queen, because he is so clever. Oh my god. I feel like this movie was ahead of its time for putting a soft-mannered man as the lead and as the final girl or final guy, whatever you want to call it. And you never see that, and especially in horror movies, the guys, if they're the lead, they're like this, you know, very masculine, very tough, and, you know, die, kill or die type of thing. Whereas his character, what is his name? I'm trying to remember his name. Jesse, he's not the typical guy that you see or lead that you see in a horror movie. You know, he's not like all big and brawny and overtly masculine and like die, kill or die, I'm gonna kill this mother effer, you know, whatever. He's soft-spoken, he's a little feminine. He's kind of, you know, and that's fine, that's great, I love that though. And they did give him a female love interest, Lisa, but even then as a kid, I was like, this don't match. this don't go. Something's not right here. Jesse and Lisa felt more like platonic soulmates rather than like romantic lovers. You know what I mean? If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It didn't give boyfriend and girlfriend. It gave besties. Maybe that's just me, but that's what I thought. And the male lead, Mark Paxton, he's actually gay in real life. I don't know if he was out during the time of this movie, like, you know, when it was released, but all the props to him for stepping up to the plate and still doing his job, even, you know, with the backlash. He is one of the most iconic pieces of the franchise. Love him. If I had to rate this one, I would put it at 7 out of 10, okay? Because this one was still really scary to me, you know. Imagine Freddy Krueger and all people like possessing you and using your physical body so that his dream celestial body could kill people. Possession is always scary, but this right here, keep it over there, please. I don't want that to happen to me. Coming in at number 4, we have Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Dream Master. So Dream Master was the first Nightmare film that I was introduced to, actually. It wasn't the OG, it was this one right here. And I said this before, when I was first getting into the genre, I started with the Nightmare franchise, and then while doing research, pictures from this movie alone were the ones that I kept seeing, especially the death scenes, but we'll get to that in a minute. So this is when the writers changed in production, and you could tell there was a shift. And usually that causes some continuity issues, but this one's all right. It wasn't too outlandish. I don't think Freddy did anything that was unheard of in this one, so it was fine. Put 'em on, babe. Put 'em on, me. I want you to love me and just touch me. Put your hands on me. I especially love the characters in this one, okay? And some people disagree with me because they think that they're too gimmicky, and, you know, yes, but there's something about them that I just can't let it go. You got the nerdy girl with asthma, you got the girl who loves to work out, like she's a gym bug, and then you got the rebel teen who's into karate, and then this one's a little overdone and, you know, well known, but the jock. But this is what makes Dan's jock archetype different. He's not some meathead bully. He's actually, you know, kind and compassionate. So that's why I'm like, oh, like these characters just, they cute. And of course, this is up on the list because of the kills. These kills, now the franchise is full of iconic kills, but this movie holds some of them. The one that still gets me to this day is Sheila's death. Now, the first time I ever watched this, I was 11 years old. Imagine the fear that I felt as an 11-year-old who had asthma. Like, imagine how that felt for me to watch that scene. And if you've seen the movie, you know. If you've seen Sheila's death scene, you know. And I know all the asthmatics out there. I know they feel the same way. He literally sucked every cell of oxygen out of her body until she was deflated. Till she didn't have no more air to give. And that sneaky bastard made it look like it was an accident. See, that's Freddy's thing though. Like, he'll use your weakness against you in order, like, to unalive you. But this type of stuff happens all the time. But little did they know it was his dirty ass. Oh, innocently enough, you know, she died of an asthma attack in her sleep. No, he sucked that air out of her face. I don't understand. Keep these kids awake. Debbie's death scene was pretty hardcore too. I like that one. That's where they got a little, see, these kills were very imaginative, except for Rick Alice's brother, this guy, I can't remember if it's Rick or Ricky, but his death scene, it was because of the budget. His wasn't all that great, and it was kind of, you know, it didn't match. But other than that, the death scenes in this one, very outlandish. They were out there. I still don't forgive them for killing Kincaid off. Really, any of the OG Elm Street kids that were left in this movie, I don't forgive them for that. I will never forgive them for that. Now, I can look past them replacing Patricia with Tuesday. Was I pissed a little bit? Yes. But hey, it happens. I look past that. But not only did you replace Patricia with Tuesday, love you Tuesday, no hate to Tuesday, but you didn't let her stay. That's what, you didn't let Kristen stay, you didn't let Joey stay, and you sure as didn't let Kincaid stay. I think Kincaid was the first to go. Then Joey and then Kirsten followed right after the two of them. Disrespectful. One thing I did like is that this movie was a way of depicting passing the torch from the OG Elm Street kids to the new generation, you know? Because I feel like with each movie that came out in the franchise, I wasn't alive back then, but I feel like each movie was ushering in a new wave of fans, a new generation, if you will. So seeing that the OG Elm Street kids are dying and then Kirsten literally passing the torch, passing her powers on to Alice for the new generation, for the new fans, I love that aspect always. So chef's kiss. If I had to rate it, I would rate this one an 8 out of 10. Yeah. Okay, what's next? Okay, coming in at number 3, we have Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now, upon first viewing, all those years ago when I was watching everything for the first time, I didn't like this one at all. I didn't like it. And I think it was because I didn't understand it. But I understand it now. And I love it. It's one of my favorite ones in the franchise, obviously. I have it ranked at number 3. This entire movie was a meta display of the original Nightmare movie. Now, if you don't know what meta means, basically, it's like something being referenced within itself. Does that make sense? Like something is being referenced within the context of that thing. It's basically like breaking the fourth wall. Prime example, the movie Scream, another masterpiece from the brain of Wes Craven. May he rest in ever-loving peace. That's a really good example of, like, you know, what meta looks like. So to me personally, this is the movie where Freddy became scary again. Because, you know, when you get off into the franchises, and it's not just this one, it's the other ones too, it starts to get a little comical, a little gimmicky, and it's not unheard of for comedy to make its way into horror. You know, it's camp, it's fine. All the franchises go through that phase where they become camp, and camp only. But Wes Craven's New Nightmare, this is truly where Freddy became terrifying again. It wasn't really Freddy, but a demonic manifestation of the character, which made him 10 times scarier. And then to see all the real life actresses and actors like portray versions of their real life selves was really cool. I did not expect Robert Englund to be such an avid artist, such an avid painter, because he was painting it up in this movie. And I love the great detail of fiction becoming reality, because in some cases that's our worst nightmare. So that detail within itself is just amazing. So yeah, and I love seeing all the callbacks from the OG, so I'm always gonna enjoy that. It's the OG. If I were to rate this one, I would rate it 9 out of 10. Pretty good. Okay, so coming in at number 2, we have the original Nightmare on Elm Street that came out in 1984. Now, don't get it twisted, this is still my favorite horror movie of all time, but it's not number 1 in the franchise for me. I shocked myself, I know. I'm like, how does that work? I'm about to tell you how. I think what I love most about this one is the characters. And I'll get into the other reason. And I know I said the characters were my favorite part, like in a couple of times, but it's true. Now, are these characters archetypal too? Yes, but they felt real to me. Like, I felt like I was watching a group of 4 teenagers just be a group of 4 teenagers, especially in the beginning. It felt real to me, and they had real issues. They had real life, you know, teen occurrences, sleepovers, you know, doing what teens do. You know what I'm saying? And it just felt real. It felt very authentic. And of course Nancy adds points to this because she's one of my favorite final girls of all time. She did what she had to do. She very much whooped his ass, or seemingly. But she did that. That is a true final girl. That is a final girl. You see her at her vulnerable level and you don't think she's gonna be able to shake it, and then she gets that switch. She's like, oh, he not gonna push me around. I'm gonna tell him like it is and what it ain't. You know? She's just a great amalgamation of what the final girl is composed of. So love you, Nancy. Always love Nancy Thompson. And then I love this movie so much, and it's one of my favorites because I said this in a previous video, this one right here, where I was ranking my top 10 horror movies of all time. And I love this one so much because this really shook up the genre and it changed so much. It made history. Because before this came out, all we had were like max killers, mostly summer camp horrors, and that was getting a little bit old. And then 1984 rolled around and then this dropped. You got a past child, you know, and he got burned alive, turned into a dream demon. Now he's coming to get the kids still. And what you mean if he kill you in your sleep, you die for real? Who thinks like that? Wes Craven does. That's why he's a genius. But I'm just saying, like, that was something fresh and you can't deny. And then the fact that from that movie alone, he became a household name. Like, this was the slash heard across the world. I'm like, man, like Wes really shook up the genre. Like, he made history. That's why I have so much love and respect for it. That's why it's my favorite one of all time. But not number one on this list, but I would rate this one a 9.5 out of 10. At number one, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. I'm just so giddy because like this is such a good one. It's so good. This is one of my all-time favorites for a few reasons. One is because they brought my girl Nancy back and didn't let her stay. But we more on that later. We'll go back to that. And then this movie introduced the most badass crew of Elm Street kids. I think they have the most street cred and the most respect out of me is because they were the last ones left. And all these characters were just so colorful. Like, I had a soft spot for each and every one of them. Each and every one of them, even the ones that didn't make it. Like, I was emotionally invested in all the characters, okay? All of them. And the kills. In my opinion, this is the best movie in the franchise. If we're talking about kills, best one, hands down. Cause look at this. And look at this.
The prime time, bitch!
Come on. Now this one was one of the more whimsical nightmare films, you know, and I also like how they delved into lucid dreaming. Now they touched on it a little bit in 1 and 2, but this one they really delved into the group psychosis of lucid dreaming. And I was like, that's really cool. You're bringing a little science into the mix, you know, with the horror and the whimsiness. It's just a good mix. It's just a good mix in general. I also like the commentary surrounding mental illness within teens and how some parents don't really pay attention to that or believe their kids. Because some people, some parents were raised like, oh, you're not depressed, you're just lazy, or you're just sad for right now, or, you know, nothing's wrong with you. Because they didn't have that validation. They weren't allowed to feel or have feelings, you know. And being that that's like a background piece in this movie, like it definitely, it still shakes me up to this day, even though I wasn't alive during that time, but it's still so credible in today's day and age. So always like their, you know, realism bits, always. This one obviously gets a 10 out of 10 for me. I love this one. So that's how I ranked them. Here's the one. Okay, there she is. yeah, that's it. I think I'm done. Yeah. So that concludes our video for today. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you want to comment your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie, let me know what it is. I would love to hear. Now, if this video does well and like, you know, a good handful of people see it, I will put up a poll. Like, if y'all want me to do another one of these with a different franchise, I can do the Child's Play franchise, I can do the Friday franchise, I can do the Halloween franchise. Ooh, wait. They're like 9 movies in, right? Or 8 or some shit, right? I'll do it if y'all want, but damn. Yeah, I'll do another horror franchise. We can do that if y'all want to. I'll have y'all vote on it on the channel. I'll make a poll if that's what y'all want. Just let me know. And subscribe if you want to. I'll see y'all on the next go round. Okay, bye.